back to Conversations. I'm Robin Fahr. My next guest is Frank Napoleon Jr. He is an author in Pleasanton. He's written the book Just 10 Minutes. But the real reason I invited him on is because he has self-published his book, and he's going to share with us today how to publish a book by oneself. So, Frank, thank you so much for coming on to Conversations. So you came up with the idea of a book. Well, tell us how you got started in writing a book and then what you did about it.
Well, actually, I owe it to my father. My father, a little bit older, in his 70s, wanted to capture something for the grandchildren. So he started a couple of years ago capturing his ideas, notes, genealogy of the family, information like that. And we wanted to put it into a format that was presentable and something that we could preserve. We took it to local copy shops and got it bound, and it looked like a homemade book.
Well, you have it. I want you to share this. I mean, nothing wrong with this. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but it does have a little bit of a homespun quality to it.
Well, it's the size and format, of course, is not something you would expect to see in a...
the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
Not something you'd have to hand down. The binding, you know, it's a good hard side binding, but it's again more like a high school project.
Right,
something
exactly.
That you would think is presentable as a family heirloom.
And what's inside is fabulous and wonderful, but yeah, it does lose just a little bit of its, I don't know, professionalism, if that's the word.
Right.
Yes, by doing it right. So he came up with the idea of let's write a book.
He had paved the way to say it's worth capturing things that are important to your family and sticking them in print. Sharing with my son a long walk up at Sea Ranch one time, we came up with this concept while I was trying to cover the fact that we were lost, and I didn't want to scare him. But we started telling a story, and the story was involving my favorite subjects of time travel and adventure, and the characters were, of course, around his age to draw him into the story. And we got back to the camp and pretty much forgot about it. The next summer, he said, "Dad, let's tell that story again." And I was doing my best to try to remember what it was. And
of course
he said, "Dad, that's not the story you told." So I said, "Okay, we're going to write it down." And that was the impetus for starting to capture family memories and write them down, whether it be grandma's recipes or dad's memories or stories that we told as a kid. Start capturing that information. When we got the information down, it was then, do I go back to a copy shop quality or do I look for something more? I started the research really starting with Amazon, and they own a company called BookSurge that offers for a fee to take your material, format it, add a cover, and produce it either for personal consumption or actually for commercial consumption. We almost went with that concept when I discovered a company called Lulu, and the difference was either give me $1,500 up front or give me nothing up front. So the decision to me was pretty easy.
How about the free one? Yeah.
Right.
So that you contacted them, you already had, though, in perfectly the way you wanted it, edited, written format, the story, or at least a concept of the story that you and your son had written. Is that how that began?
In my case, I had it, I'm proficient with computers, so I had it in a Word document with the different headers and footers with the names at the top and the pages at the bottom. But what this one company offers,
because a lot of people would find that tough.
That's what's offering is every step of the way, whether it be finishing the story, having something called a book doctor actually edit the content, having somebody format it for you, having somebody add photos for you, every step of the way, this company offers support services to be able to do that for you.
But they don't ask for anything up front.
They don't have, that they would actually charge. They'll charge for editing. They'll charge for...
Okay, so yes, if you use the certain services
right.
offered, but then just to get it published, they're not taking anything up front, but perhaps a bit of the cut. Is that how that goes?
How it actually works is once you've completed the material, it takes, surprisingly, about just 10 minutes.
Oh, how funny. Your book's called Just 10 Minutes. Yeah, that's funny, but it has nothing to do with publishing,
does it?
Not at all,
not at all. In fact, I sent them my photo and said, you know, I think it would be a good tagline to say that's about how long it takes to get published. That takes about 10 minutes. So you upload your documents. They do this magic conversion to essentially a PDF, something that's print ready. And within about 10 minutes, the document is ready to be published and printed in something that looks and approaches very much commercial quality, something that you would find at a Barnes & Noble bookstore.
Absolutely. This is your book, which could have ended up looking a little bit more or less professional. Instead, it looks just like every book you would find.
It does.
Well, better, but so there's just no idea that it was even self-published. So this isn't just for people who want to capture their family stuff and want it to look good. This could be somebody, a budding author, who says, listen, I'm ready to go big time, don't want to go through that whole looking for a publisher business.
Absolutely.
Or have had trouble finding a publisher, because we know that even great writers get turned down by some of the great publishers. So let me get it out there. Does that sort of set you up then to be, if you want then to go get a, one of those high-end publishers, does it help to have something already beautifully, professionally done?
I think it does. For several years, there's been something called vanity publishing, which is as long as you had money, you would look very much like an author. They would produce books for you in small runs, 50 copies, 100 copies. The concept behind this particular on-demand publisher, and there are many out there, this is one that I've selected, Lulu. Bob Young, who was the co-founder of Red Hat, started the company using a lot of the venture capital profits that he made from the launch of Red Hat. And it's really a technology company. It's the ability to bring the price point down to where I can literally produce one book, and that's either one soft copy book, or even now they've just started a hard copy book. I can produce one book at a very, very reasonable price. Still not the prices that you're going to get with offshore publishing, and you'll find it an end cap display at Walmart.
Right.
But it's still going to be a reasonable price that allows you to have professional marketing materials. So my first stop was all the local middle schools. I dropped off copies of my book that was really the teaser of just the first 4 chapters, saying, hey, here's a very low-cost promotional guide that includes a discussion guide in the end, and I owe that to my sister Deborah for being a 5th grade English teacher, saying, hey, we're great to have books in school, but what can we talk about? What are some activities that go with it, and things like that.
So, but you could have just written the book and then contacted Lulu, lulu.com, and then gone through their procedure, 10 minutes, and you would then have...
One of the last steps.
And how long, by the way, would it take? After the 10 minutes.
Oh,
when do you get your copy of your book? Yeah.
If you want to do nothing else but have those small runs just for the family, it takes about 2 weeks. You place your order, and the reason most of it takes 2 weeks is shipping from North Carolina here to California. The U.S. government allows something called media rate, which is the slow, low-cost rate. But you're able to place an order. One of the options then is, for a fee, an astounding $35, we'll go ahead and feature your book on Amazon. So that was the part that I thought, now this is magic. To be able to go from something you want to share with friends and family to now something that could be nationally or even internationally recognized.
How do they do that? It's just a great service they're offering.
It's a terrific service.
$35.
I had the exciting experience. I flew into Florida a couple of weeks ago, and went down dragging my luggage, and I saw the man waiting with the placard for my company. And I said, oh, I'm with that company. And he said, what's your name? I said, oh, Frank Napoleon. He said, do you write children's books? And I'm looking around for, which one of my friends set me up.
Candid camera, right?
Somebody set me up. And he said, no, my wife bought your book for my son this Christmas. And I thought, there are people in my own family who haven't read this book yet. This is amazing.
It's amazing. It's the power, really, of the Internet and what it really can bring to the rest of the world. That's
what I think on-demand publishing is really going to offer, is we had the Gutenberg movable type press that revolutionized the cost of distributing information, and it allowed literacy rates to climb. Now, anybody who wants to can stick up a web page, but there's still that user experience of reading a book. You're going to want a book on the airplane. You're going to want a book before you go to bed. You're going to want a book on the beach.
Yeah.
So
you got to hold a book.
Getting something that can be in print at a reasonable cost and in as good a quality as you'll find in major production is really what on-demand publishing does.
Now, let's say you want to, and I'm sure you'd like your book to be a moneymaker. So you've, with no money down, and if you don't use too many of the services then, so you've got a pretty, inexpensive item here now, but you've got 3 cases of them and you'd like to get them sold. How do you price it, and how then does Lulu or any other on-demand publisher get their money then? Because you can't just be doing it for free.
Exactly. The book itself, every book, whether it's a 5-page book or a 500-page book, has pretty much a single set base cost. And that base cost is, let's use a round figure of, say, about $5. then for each page of your book, it's a couple of pennies more. So by the time you do, mine is 130 pages, the cost of the book is maybe around, say, $7. You set the resale price, and you can either download it electronically. So if I wanted to have people go to the website, they can download for a very low cost an electronic version, or they can have it printed for them. Lulu, of course, has some profit built into that base cost, but then they also share in the royalties with you.
Well, that's fair enough. So so this book, let's say Just 10 Minutes, that costs you $7 per book, essentially, to put together, and that's fair enough. So what will you then want to sell it for? And they'll take, what, $1.50? So, you're making profit then. Can you sell it for $12? Is that a reasonable price?
That's reasonable, I think, for people who know you as the author, friends and family. When I've talked with some of the local bookstores, they expect a 50% margin.
I've heard.
So I think for on-demand publishing, you're not going to get the price point you need to go national. Talking to Costco, they're going to want to pay $2 a book and sell it for whatever they think they can. Talking to local Barnes & Noble, they want a 50% markup, and the price point needs to be under $8. So really, the technology is terrific for first-time authors. It provides a medium that is good for keeping around the house. And it gives you a very professional selling tool. But I think a serious author, one who wants to aspire to a J.K. Rowling, will need to go to a actual publisher to get the price points that you need.
Now, you brought along, do you have it with you, you had put together, there were notes and cute things that had gone on in your life with your children, and you just said, this is just not something I'm going to stick in a folder somewhere. You made a book.
Well, this is another example. One of the things that I did, I traveled a lot with my job, and I was able to take and leave little sticky notes each day for the kids, and I knew something was going on in their life. They were going to the dentist. And one of the drawings I made here was part of my philosophy of aversion therapy. So I made it really scary, saying that it certainly is not going to be that bad. And I left them a little note. Well, my wife at the end of the year had handed me a little, swatch of 40 or 50 of these little stickies, and I thought, well, here's a piece of the experience that we have, that I have as a dad and my kids had with me. I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So enter, 1990s technology. I'll scan the image, I'll write some words around it, and now I'll send it off to Lulu, and I've got what looks like a outstanding, memorable document that I get to share with my kids, and they get to share with theirs.
See, I mean, really, you could turn anything into a book that you want to. Now, did you just make one of those? Was there a purpose of making more?
These are actually gifts we made. My father, of course, after we worked out his, we made that into a hardcover book. Lulu just started making hardcover books. They make calendars. If you have a garage band and you want to get CDs printed up that have this professional label and a professional package, that's what they'll do as well. So it's any of the on-demand publishing, whether it be just media like documents or books, or it could be audio information as well.
Now, do you say to people, I'm a self-published author, or do you, because it always sounds better to have somebody else having published your book, and in the book, does it say your name as publisher, or does it say Lulu?
It depends on which book I've done, because I'm trying all three.
Yeah.
The downside or the risk with on-demand publishing is any piece of drivel can be published and bound.
Right.
Almost like looking at a computer printout of information, you go, well, gosh, this must be right. It's formatted so well.
Right.
But it could be useless.
Yes.
So when I aspire to be approved as an author, I know there's not going to be an asterisk that says, well, he's self-published, therefore we'll give him. No, they want the content to be as good as you would find in material for people who are actually making livings full-time, producing ideas and sharing them like this.
Oh, that's great. It's a great concept. So many people want to do this. The genealogy analogy was perfect. My father is doing the same thing, and yet we just have all of these papers in a binder, and it really needs to be put together in book form. So I am definitely going to be taking some of your advice. Let's give out some information. My guest is Frank Napoleon Jr. He is the author of Just 10 Minutes, and there's more to come on that front. Isn't there more books coming out with that theme?
I've just finished Just 10 More Minutes.
Oh, there you go.
So,
we're up to 20 minutes here.
My sister asked, is the next one 30 minutes?
Right. What is this? Half hour. The website that Frank used to get to his stuff published is www.lulu.com, and if you want to see his /JTM, which stands for obviously for Just 10 Minutes. But if you'd like to contact Frank personally, his email is jtandemma characters from the book, very cute, at yahoo.com. Frank, thank you so much for coming in here and sort of demystifying this whole idea of book publishing.
I think there's a lot of people who want to share ideas, and this is that $1 lotto ticket that could turn into something big.
That could be, well, all you budding authors out there, pay attention. That's it for this edition of Conversations. I'm Robin Fahr. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week. Have a great day.